you do have like this like energy to you that's like very you do have a glow to you that's like optimistic and like just loving life. And so for you, it's probably how can I like incorporate my joy and make joy in everything.
Yeah, and support other people to discover it. Like one of my favorite stories, I actually talk about in the book, is my brother. My brother calls me one day, and he was a mechanic, and he decides after 4 years of working at this shop that he was supposed to buy. This guy Ralph had a shop. Pierre came in as an intern, but he was adamant at someday owning his own mechanic shop. And Ralph saw that in him and kind of said, Pierre, if you help me build this shop, I'll someday sell it to you. And Pierre's like, well, I'm going to do this. So like, if you're going to sell this to me, like, what's the timeline? It's like, a couple years, I'm almost ready to retire. So Pierre literally showed up as an owner and like turned around this place. They doubled the bays. They got more efficient. He like would work weekends, cleaning stuff up, helping with the finance. Like he literally showed up as an owner. And after a year or two, he's like, hey, Ralph, we should really put something on paper. And Ralph's like, yeah, for sure, we'll do it. Yeah, I appreciate the patience, like just dealing with some other stuff. Punted, and finally on the third or fourth year, Ralph's like, Pierre, I just don't see me retiring. And Pierre goes, I quit. So he calls me. I remember the day he calls me and I go to his house and he's just like, meet me at my house. I was like, okay, there's something going on. And I like walk into his living room and I was like, what's up? He goes, I just quit Ralph's. And I was like, dude, I thought you were buying the place. Aren't you? Like, didn't you buy it? And he's like, no, Ralph told me he doesn't want to sell. And I was like, wow, what do you want to do now? And he's like, I don't know, man. And I was like, well, what are your options? And he's like, well, probably something in real estate. And I go, what kind of real estate? And he's like, well, I could probably, I don't know, build some land development, some multi-units, and like maybe house building. And I was like, why house building? He's like, I just helped my friend build his house. And I go, I don't know anything about real estate. I'm a software guy, but the house one seems like the most approachable. Like you can buy a piece of land and build a house. Like I don't think it's that complicated. He goes, I don't have any money. And I said, what do you need? And I gave him 175 grand. I literally emptied out my bank account. The reason I did that is because when I was 15, I got in trouble with the law. And Pierre called me up and said, don't come home, the police are waiting for you. And he showed up and he gave me the last $63 in his bank account. And maybe I've never connected this, Dylan, like maybe that's why I'm so like pro supporting other people, but like having my younger brother show up on his 50cc motorbike, because he was like 14, to give me his 63 bucks, like to like help me, even though obviously I was in trouble with some stuff. Yeah, and my dad, I remember when he found out, he's like, that was the dumbest decision ever. Like, you shouldn't be in business together. And dude, my brother showed up every day for a decade and turned it into a multi-$10 million company. And like, he's won awards and like so I don't know, maybe I got lucky with some of my friends and my partners, but it's who I am. It's literally why I've invested in 50 plus companies. I love the early stage entrepreneur that's willing to show up and put in the sweat equity and just decide that they want to create something different in the world. It's just, I don't know, it's the coolest thing to be part of.
It sounds like everything you do when you talk about it, it's like the person that's around it.
It's 1,000% the people. Dude, like I was talking to Sam about this, my videographer, because like there's people I'll meet and if I just have a vibe, there's something off, I don't need proof. Like I think sometimes in life people are like, there's something off about this person, but they haven't done anything. I have zero requirement because I've just been burned over the years, right? Like it might sound like I've always made money. It's not the case. I've invested in people and dude, there was a guy I hired one time and it was like, where is he? Like he hasn't showed up for work. And then there was an email that said that he got an injury. He was in the hospital. I drove 2 hours to where he lived to go see him in the hospital. They're like, we don't have anybody at the hospital. I go to his apartment, which is address for like where he said he lived on the employment contract. And his roommate said, no, he's at Angie's house. He was partying with his girlfriend. So like, I've just been burned by like defaulting, I call it API, assuming positive intent, right? It's a little bit of a nerdy API thing. But I've always, and I still do, I always assume positive intent, but I now just have realized like, you also got to trust your gut. So like, we both know a lot of the same people, and there's these circles of the online folks, and there's just a certain group of people I just have no desire. People are like, oh, you should talk to this person. It's like, I'm good. Don't need to like no proof. I don't think there's anything positive that's going to come from it. And just like some people, dude, I have a friend, and for whatever reason, he seems to always be in a legal battle. And I'm just like, there's a common denominator here, and it's not the other people. You know what I mean? Like this guy Naval Ravikant, he's like kind of a mentor to me, and he said that once.
He's over there somewhere.
Yeah, Naval, the Almanac Naval. Yeah, so when I moved to San Francisco, I met him at a dinner party, and like he became a mentor of mine, a big influence on this book. But Naval said, like, people that are litigious, give it enough time and they'll turn their litigiousness or whatever it's called on you, right? And it's just true. So I think when people show you who they are, I think Maya Angelou said this, believe them. So when I feel a certain vibe from somebody, I don't need proof there's something that bad could happen. I just create my space.
Thanks for checking out this short clip from the full podcast I did. If you want to see another clip, go ahead and click the link right here. Or if you want to see the full podcast, you can click the link right here and check it out.